he's now the one that's trying to acclimate to this new culture. He's trying to like learn the ways of this place that he's now been thrust into. Same thing with Jake from the first
Or
film.
dropped into, you could say.
How fuck you gonna just keep going the whole episode? As many as you could think of.
You gotta give me that one though. That wasn't bad.
Sure. Whatever.
Okay, continue.
Fired. I can tell. Hello, welcome to the HolmFront. I am Tyler, your host, and to my right, as always, is Mitch, my overly artistic friend. Mitch.
Hi.
Thank you. You'll notice from my shirt that we saw a movie recently. What did we see?
Well, the movie your shirt is referencing is a lot better than this one.
Naturally.
But yeah, I came in blue today because we watched The Way of Water.
The Way of Water.
Avatar 2. Which we saw that in theaters when it came out. And it was, I mean, there were so many problems with it when it came out that we had, but the spectacle of seeing it on the big screen was still, there was a lot of merit to that.
Yeah, it was worth it.
Mm-hmm. And then we rewatched it, and maybe it would have been better had we not.
Yeah, it's just left it. Just like, well, I'll just go off on memory this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay, well, let's start with this then. Just right off the bat, how would you rate this? On a star system, what would you kind of...
Question. Probably 3, I guess.
Okay, sticking with 3. Because I came into it at 3. I think I dropped it at 2. It's just like, you know...
I think 3 is what I had last time. This is what I had this time. Like, there were like different things that bothered me about this one, but they were like still tied into the same parts that were a bother last time.
Okay.
So it's not like it wasn't really that much worse.
You're talking about last time you saw this film or
this one
from the last film from the first Avatar?
No, I mean the last time I watched it. Like, you know, some of the kids, I didn't like that there was so much of a focus on them last time. This time I was prepared for that, so that didn't bother me. What did bother me was they kept calling each other bro.
Oh, there was a very overused term. Bro, cuz.
Bro, bro. And it's like, they're these weird alien blue people. They're just
like James Cameron coming in. Hello, fellow kids. That's what it's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say for me, on both watches, the narrative was just, it was too drowned out.
Yeah.
Too weak.
Yeah, I mean, it's very lukewarm, I would say. Yeah, that's my sentiment, I would say. Very lukewarm on this one this time.
Yeah, the effect it had left a ripple instead of a splash.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really shower it with praise because it's just not quite on the level of like what I know Cameron can do, you know?
Yeah, if you were given the opportunity and maybe a great writer. Also, for any of you that like this film, I hate to rain on your parade, but
yeah,
sucked.
Yeah, I mean, it's a drop in the bucket in Cameron's career, if you really think about it, you know? Because he has some real bangers, but...
He does.
Yeah.
And that's, again, I'm going to go back to the narrative thing. Rather than being submerged in the narrative, it left me wanting.
Yeah, the substance was really, really shallow, I think.
Okay, we should give this up. All right, all that said, weren't too big of a fan of this film.
If you take a deep dive... No.
Let's go. So we saw the trailer for the Fire and Ash film coming out recently.
Yeah.
Released that. So we figured, why not? Let's just go over the Avatar films.
Yeah. Because we're still going to see Fire and Ash when it comes out.
Sure.
I mean, you have to see these movies on the big screen. It's like this obligation because you know it's just always inferior. Yeah, it's a cultural event, and it's always inferior to watch it outside of that context. Although, you know, we kind of liked, or at least I kind of liked the first one a little better in retrospect. I was like, yeah, I mean...
Did you say that the first one elevated and this one just kind of was like slightly lower? Because before it was a little bit like this, but now it's...
Yeah, I would say so.
Positions.
Just because, like, so the first one, it's Dances with Wolves and everything all over again. But at least he commits to that narrative fully. I mean,
sure.
Titanic isn't a bad movie because it's, you know, Romeo and Juliet. You know what I mean? That's not really the issue with it. Like, that's fine. It's a perfectly well-told version of that story. It was just that he picked a story that we all knew and had seen so many times for Avatar.
Right.
And so that was part of it. But then it was also like, he makes the Na'vi like Native Americans, and it's like not even remotely, you can't question that whatsoever. There's no ambiguity. It's just like that's what it is.
Yeah, the bows and arrows and the horses and the
yeah. And at that point, we're like, okay, we can handle a more mature, like intelligent story. So like make the humans more complicated, more dynamic, more interesting. No, he just shuts that all down. He goes back to that, like, so he's like he commits the same mistakes that narrative does. So that's why it's just like, why, But with this one, I'm kind of like, well, it's not. Well, it's not that narrative, but I guess it kind of is.
if because I'm sensing a bit of a pattern here. So when you look at, because it's almost like he did the same thing just in reverse. So when you look at Titanic is a historical event.
Mm-hmm.
So he wants to tell that because he's obsessed with the Titanic thing.
Yeah.
I guess he's one of the few that's been down there more than anyone else on Earth or something. It's some weird obsession that he has.
Mm-hmm.
But he wants to tell the Titanic story. But how do you do that to make it accessible to audiences? So he takes something familiar and he places it on another thing that's familiar and mixes the two.
Yeah.
He's got the Romeo and Juliet thing. This one is like, well, I want to tell the Dances with Wolves narrative. I'll put it in a sci-fi telling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know which direction he did that in, but he mixed the two in order to kind of create this thing that was familiar but also his own, I suppose. Which, on some level, I understand artistically. Like Lucas did the same thing. Hero's Journey put into a sci-fi narrative and kind of recontextualize it to make it appealing to a general audience. And obviously it resonates with people, the Avatar films. There's enough there on some level. Most of it's just pretty visuals, like it's just a spectacle, which is, in itself, it's nice. It's by the way, all the special effects were done by Weta, who were the ones that did the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Oh.
So I think they were chosen because of the amount of motion capture that's in this, because all the Na'vi are basically filmed on the set, and it's live. So they have the thing going and they can see on a screen what's happening. So there's a brand new technology that they were using, but everyone's mocapped instead of just Andy Serkis running around with the bunch of dots on him with the real actors. It's everyone's this now.
Yeah.
So obviously it's much more advanced with the second film, but he was able to create a world that was very different and beautiful. I mean, to be fair, like I said, it's very pretty visuals. It's not a lot of substance outside of that.
Yeah.
Titanic probably resonated a little bit more because it had more of an emotional connection. I haven't seen it in a long time, but like if you just take a romantic arc like that, the forbidden love thing, it's just going to resonate with you. Whereas this one doesn't have that quite as much, especially in the sequel, because the first one, you have the man trying to escape his culture, which he finds oppressive, going to the thing that he finds life in. This one kind of dilutes that a little bit. So unless you're finding something that's going to add more heart into it, it's going to get a little stale, and that's what I felt like happened.
It's a little diluted.
There you go. There's my last one of the day. That was actually unintentional.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of like I liked what you were saying about how it doesn't have the depth. So, like, if you cannonball into this movie, you're gonna
just gonna keep going with this.
Okay, well,
Way of water, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, like something you highlight there is actually pretty good. Like, to his credit, this is what I feel like is good about Cameron, is that when he commits to the story, he makes sure he gives you all the essential scenes to have that story work. And that's something he doesn't get enough credit for, because there are so many movies that don't do that just completely fail to create like an emotional connection with their audience. And then you're just like, wait, how did they have a change of heart and do this? And that doesn't add up. Or like, oh, I guess so. Or like, that character's so annoying, blah, 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 blah. But it's like when it comes down to like his core characters, you get every piece that you need at the right time, so that when you get to the end, it's a satisfying conclusion. And so what happens in that first movie is that he introduces Jake Sully and says, well, here's Jake. He's a paraplegic. That sucks because he's a Marine. He wants to go out and do stuff, and he can't. So then he gets this body, he gets a chance, and it's like he's, connecting with nature and all this stuff, but it's also like he's getting his life back. And then, he starts to become conflicted because he was supposed to help the military guys, but then they're evil, and they're attacking the Na'vi people, and they're destroying Home Tree, and that's what they want to do. And he doesn't, he's like, oh, everything's backwards. So he has this transformation. I really do like that scene where I know it's hammy when Quay Arch brings it up, like, and shows everybody what Jake Sully was recording for himself. But like Jake Sully recording for himself in his own privacy, him just being like, I'm confused, like about where my allegiance needs to go now, because it's like these strange alien people I feel more connected to them than I ever have with humans. So what does that mean? And these are like big existential crises for a jarhead, right? To have to reconcile. I mean, any person, but especially somebody like Jake, who's like he's not a deep thinker, and that's not like a it's not a criticism. He has a lot of other good redeeming traits, but that's just not one of them.
Yeah, well, he's got the integrity and the honor and very soldier-like, without necessarily considering too many of the nuances that might come with those things.
Right, exactly.
Very straightforward.
So there's a satisfying, you can at least follow Jake. You can connect with him as a character, and I feel like the movie works. In this one, he pulls his family. Getting into the synopsis, he is like, okay, well, we're being attacked by, the Sky people once again. They're going to find us, and they're after me and my family. So what do? I'm going to leave. We're going to go into hiding, essentially. And so he tries to ally himself with the Water Tribe and learn their ways or whatever. So then you have his son kind of takes on the role of the protagonist on some level, where you spend a lot of time with him learning the new like ways of the way of water. And he spends a good chunk of the middle of the movie doing that. But it's just like, one tribe learning the cultural nuances of another. It's not the same as how it was Jake learning the Sky people to this total foreign, group of people. So it's like he does that in here, and it's like kind of a repeat, but then it's like there's no real necessity to be doing any of that because it's so much less potent. And I feel like any person could sense that a mile away,
Yeah, it was almost too
It's
sterilized.
like he put his head underwater and just like plugs his ear. And he can't hear as well underwater.
Just
it's kind of like that.
To you, you're just gonna. Yeah, it felt a little too sterilized because when you get to it, it introduces the same villain from the first one, just in this new skin. Were you gonna say it? You got something in your head, clearly.
No. No, you go ahead.
Okay.
I want to lure you into a false sense of security.
Oh, aren't you kind?
You're like, now you're nervous. Now you're like, well, when's he going to throw another water pun at me?
God. So the way that he structures it is specific, and this is what frustrated me about it on this time, because it felt a little bit more blatant. I was a little bit more distracted by all the pretty visuals the first time.
Yeah.
This one I could tell, like, oh, he's just introducing an antagonist to just push Jake into the Water Tribe. That's all it was. It was a bit contrived for me. So I was like, that doesn't feel like a justified enough reason, except for the fact that you just want a water portion of this world.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what we're going to do. So then it shoves them in to now become immersed in this new culture. And so it's another like fish out of water type thing. But it's like Jake's already acclimated to the world of Pandora. So you're just introducing another culture without necessarily, I don't know, it's enriching for sure, but the conflict's the same.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't really introduce a whole lot of interesting new things, except for the fact that you don't have to worry about building anything out on the antagonist side, because you're more worried about learning about the Water Tribe, the new bit of this world that you get to see.
Mm-hmm.
So really, he just introduces the conflict, sets you up, and he's like, all right, that momentum's already moving. You already know everything you need to know about it because you recognize that guy from the previous film.
Yeah.
Now we're just going to go and swim around, and we're going to learn about all these pretty animals. We're going to create some other contrivances to make people extra evil.
Yeah, he was very, like... I mean, because here's the thing. I said it in the last review. We talked about the first film, where I was like, okay, he doesn't care that much about his narratives.
Yeah.
I mean, we've always known that, but when you're able to kind of take the perspective that he has, where it's like, look, it's not a big deal. We all want to see Quayarch in a big mech suit fight against, that monster we saw earlier, that alien creature. And so then he fights the thing, and you get to see that scene, and he's like, well, that was my excuse to get there. Are you really going to be mad of all the reasons,
Sure.
the pathway to doing so? Especially when this isn't like, because they're not quite throwaway blockbuster movies like your Transformers thing, where it's just like, all right, whatever. Like, it's just so overdone, so overplayed. It's not that bad. Like, there is like an emotional arc, but then I think that's where that friction comes in, because now you're sort of like wedged between two things where you're like, well, you're better than this other crap, but you're not close to the good stuff.
Right.
So then you're
in this weird middle ground.
Yeah, it's like mixing two liquids that, it's like oil and water.
Yeah, he sees the line in between the two.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like creative purgatory is what is
purgatory.
Okay, so what did you like about the movie?
Well, like, you were bringing up the visuals. It's like,
stunning.
I mean, the beautiful film. And I love water stuff. That's why I wanted to see this in theaters when it came out. I was like, we're going to go watch it because underwater stuff on the big screen, and it was totally worth it.
And Cameron does know his directing style when it comes to water.
Yeah.
It's his gimmick or whatever, but obviously knows what he's doing.
And the usual hallmarks of good Cameron execution are there. Like, it's well-paced film, despite being very, very long. He gives time to breathe when, like, a character dies or a big emotional moment's happening. There's, like, a few parts you could, like, nitpick of, like, oh, maybe that's too long, this or that. But on the whole, I feel like, considering the scope of the project, the fact that the final cut of the film is, it relatively keeps things interesting throughout is an achievement, especially because, like, there was, like, a noticeable dip watching it this time where, some of us in the room were like, okay, now I'm getting a little more interested, especially near the end. And it was like, yeah, we've gone a while without that interest.
Yeah.
And that's partly a problem of, like, him focusing so much on, just learning with the water tribe. But, like, in this viewing, I knew that's what he was going to do. Like, when I first saw it, I was like, well, maybe he'll spend more time, like, with the conflict between them because we don't have to learn a new culture. And instead, I was like, oh, man, we got like 45 minutes just with this water tribe, which was cool. I didn't mind it, but I was also like, it's from the perspective of the kids. I think that filters it too. And so then I'm like, okay, so now it's like kid drama for a while. And then I felt like weird. I felt like I was an adult and watching a kid's movie. I was like, I paid to see this.
It does get a little juvenile, yeah.
Yeah, I had a little bit of that moment when I saw it in the theater, but then when I knew that that's what was happening this time, I was like, okay, it's fine. That's not a big deal. But, yeah, so, like, I liked those things of it. I also liked how some of the characters had to deal with, like, being an outsider, and I like how he maintains the narrative of, like, Jake Sully and whatnot being different because they're not, like, natural born. So they have, like, 5 fingers, which I guess Navi don't have 5 fingers.
They got 4.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. So
they're different, you could tell.
So all of his kids have 5 fingers, so it must be in his DNA somehow. And I liked that, and they harp up on 2 of them. One of them is his son, who's not really an outcast. He's just constantly getting into trouble, and so he feels like he's an outcast because. So I didn't care for that too much, but it did play nicely with Kiri, who I liked as a character.
She was an actual outcast.
Yes.
I thought it was funny. He's the one that's actually developing all these really meaningful relationships.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm so alone. Everyone hates me. I was like, dude.
Oh, you're right. Because
he gets the girl.
He gets the girl. He bonds with the whale that everybody hates.
He's acclimating the quickest.
I'm so alone.
He's like, angsty teenager. Dude.
I'm just going to wait out here and die.
Drowning in this emotion. There you go. Gosh.
I mean, he should be like, just drinking it up, right? He should just be living the good life.
I'm going to fire you. I gave you this one. Yeah, it's
like a squirt gun blast. Just
that was a bit of a reach.
But. Well, because I can't say machine gun blast because
it's not water themed.
It's not water themed.
All right, yeah, you need to stop. Gosh. But yeah, that theme seemed pretty pervasive because what I think he was doing was mirroring what he'd done in the first one. Was that now you're not fully transitioned away from Jake, but you've kind of handed some of the reins over to his son, who's I think Loa is his name.
Yeah,
and he's now the one that's trying to acclimate to this new culture. He's trying to like learn the ways of this place that he's now been thrust into. Same thing with Jake from the first
or
film.
dropped into, you could say.
How fuck you could just keep going the whole episode, as many as you could think of.
You gotta give me that one though. That wasn't bad.
Sure, whatever.
Okay, continue.
Fired. But it doesn't come at the expense of just removing Jake altogether, which is nice. Because it still shows that Jake is competent, still shows that Jake is able to acclimate just as easily. Why are you still smiling? I'm just afraid of whatever stupid thing you're going to say.
I won't look at you. You can continue.
You're so nice. But it shows that he's still competent. So he's the one that like maintains his reputation, his honor, his integrity. So he has this relationship with this other chief. He's trying to keep control over his kids, even though it's a terrible job throughout the whole movie. These kids are just running rampant.
That's fair.
It's like he gives them a torch and is like, run through the forest, but don't set anything on fire. It was like, man, dude, you're just asking for stuff to keep happening, and it does.
Yeah.
But I will say some of the mirroring does go a bit far. So I think.
And this is where are you transitioning us into spoilers?
Unless there's something else that you have to say.
No, I think we should get into spoilers. So that's your warning. The movie is kind of average. If you like the first one, I feel like you'll like this one, but I also feel like it doesn't have that wow factor that the first one has because it's not the same leap in technology, I think is what it really boils down to. If it had a more potent story, I still don't think it would leave that much of an impression because
maybe
it would leave more of an impression, obviously, but it would be because of its story, not because of its technical achievement, which is what the first one gets hailed as. And so you're able to, it's easier to forgive the first one's narrative, I think, is what I'm finding because of
the other things it was accomplishing.
Yeah, whereas this one, it's still an accomplishment, but not quite as much. So then it's sort of like, well, anyways, continue. Yeah.
So some of the mirroring happens with Stephen Lang's character returning. His name is Cohost, which I could not remember in the first episode. So he comes back as a Na'vi. Now, I don't dislike this idea completely, and I think at the end we'll just throw in a HolmFront fixes because I have some concepts of what I think would be interesting.
Okay.
But he comes back and he gets a team of other humans that have died, and basically they upload the consciousness into what he had talked about in the original film. Was like, if I had my knowledge as a soldier and I was put in that body, what a weapon I could be, or whatever it was. He said,
yeah.
Basically gets his wish, and so then he's employed by the army that's still on this. Which did they explain that too well? Like, I know that there's just sky people there. But are they just terraforming at this point? Like, I didn't quite pick up on what exactly they were doing on the planet.
Well, they were whale hunting.
There was whale hunters, but that wasn't the only thing they were doing. Yeah, see, you can't remember, can you?
Well, I suppose they're after the unobtainium, but you never really see or hear it talked about.
Yeah, he doesn't really flesh out why the sky people are there again. It's just another contrivance to get this narrative to push forward, and then he wants to really zoom in on Jake and Cohost. So again, not entirely terrible necessarily, but he did spend a little too much time on other things where he could have developed this a little bit better, where the momentum would have carried into another film potentially, or would have made this narrative stronger because I didn't think it was that strong in the first place. But Cohost comes back, so it's the same villain, but he establishes that this villain is just it's a copy of the man. Yeah. And he makes this very clear. He reiterates it like 3 or 4 times. He's like, I'm not this person. I don't have the same sentiments. I don't really care about what happened to that person because I'm not that person.
Yeah.
But then he tries to cash in on the fact that maybe he is. And some of it's okay. Like, on the second viewing, I liked one of the moments that they brought up with that particular topic. But his hatred for Jake, I was not feeling. Because they don't really give him a good motivation from the military. All they say is that he's out there. And so then they're just like, we're going to hunt him down. I was like, well, why?
Yeah.
He's not doing anything. He's not actively fighting against the Sky People, even though they've made their second invasion.
Well, he attacks their train and blows it up at the beginning of the movie.
This is true.
But also that doesn't make sense because why would Jake willingly put his family and his tribe at risk just to destroy a train?
Right, because then they come after him and he's like, we got to leave. I can't put you guys in danger. What?
Yeah, it's like
just doing this.
How does that make sense? I suppose that was the justification, though, is that Jake thinks that, if we don't strike now, then, we got to stop them. We got to let them know where the line is. So we go and destroy that train. And then the reaction to that is so much more extreme than I thought. Because it's not because of the train that he leaves. It's because his kids were threatened. Like, Cohost gets a hold of them, some of them anyways, and he's got a knife to their throat, and he's trying to bait out Jake. And then there's a big conflict, and then he rescues them. And that's when Jake makes the decision because it came close to home in a tangible way for him. So I got that.
Okay.
to me, I thought that was fine because he was like, okay, well, we'll do this or that. Because even when he attacks the train, and his son kind of goes off rails, and then he's like, what were you doing? That was more than what you should have done. It's still not quite real to him until it was like, oh man, they like literally brought back that guy who was, I thought we'd killed and been done with. And then he came back and like nearly killed a couple of my kids. So like that's a force to be reckoned with. So he's like, okay, they're not going to stop. I'm going to need to do something more drastic, and I don't think I can do that here. So I'll
go into hiding, put other tribes in danger.
But he doesn't. I mean, to be fair, why would they keep pursuing him? I mean, what does it matter? If he stops attacking, they should just let him go. Any logical person would assume that.
Right, which is where I had my issue with Quayarch, because if he doesn't have an emotional connection or an emotional investment in chasing Jake down, there's no reason for him to chase Jake down.
Yeah, it seemed like the military was more interested in hunting him down than even Quayarch was. And they were just like, we got to get him. And I'm like, why?
Yeah, why?
Like, I get he destroyed the train or whatever. He's like a rebel. But like, if he stops attacking, can't you just continue? Like, who cares what he...
Right. Yeah, you guys take the side of the planet. He goes on the other side of the planet. You leave each other alone. Bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah, just drown him out.
Who cares? I only got so many more of those.
It's like your life meter.
It's dying quickly. It's like this much. I can't handle any more of this.
Drink a potion. Restore your health.
There's no.
You gotta make it.
Dad jokes are the bane of my existence. I gave you the beginning of this episode. That's it. I'm doing this
and
again.
You thought that would be the end. You're just like Jake Sully.
Should be
You're going out there to retreat.
Yeah. Just a relentless force to be reckoned with. Okay, so what did you like about this movie in the spoiler territory? Anything that you want to go over?
Well, I mean, the Quayarch thing, let's stick with that for a minute, because I like what you're saying there. I mean, Quayarch, so there's that scene where he finds, like, the corpse of, the
real Quayarch.
The real Quayarch, yeah. And then he, like, takes the skull and, like, crushes it in this Terminator moment.
Let the past die. Wait. No, that's a different movie.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. See, I can't have puns, but you can reference bad movies.
Well, yeah, because reference a bad idea from a bad movie. That's not a pun. That's not a dad joke. That's different.
Yeah, but they're both bad.
No, it's the one is just, it's funny because you're referencing something that's stupid. And for some reason, two men came up with the same stupid idea separately. Maybe one's influenced by the other. I actually don't know. They're probably friends for all I know. The other one's just puns. Puns are terrible.
Well,
they are always terrible.
But they're there to torture us.
Exactly. Stop tormenting me. Go ahead.
Whatever. So, anyways, he has that moment, and like you said, that's like this symbol of like, oh, I'm just moving beyond the past. I'm going to do my own thing. So I really love the concept of like he gets this avatar body, and then they get his other Marines too, the squad.
Yeah.
They put them in these avatar bodies, and when they come out, they're like, popping gum and like lock and load and just like, yeah, we're gonna go out and kill everybody. And they're the same
classic Cameron
Marines.
Yeah.
And I love that. That's awesome. And then they have them as like this infiltration team to hunt down Jake Sully. So they're kind of like they can do Navi stuff. So they've kind of elevated themselves to be on equal footing with Jake because they lost the last battle. So I thought that was a good way of raising the stakes a little bit. Or at least to measure them out. And like they learn how to use, the flying creatures and stuff like that, which is cool. And they do it like in a brute force way.
Mm-hmm.
So, Spider doesn't think they can accomplish it, but they can. So it just goes to show that the Navi's way of doing things isn't necessarily the only way to accomplish these.
They would just consider it the right way.
They would consider, there's a moral and a spiritual emphasis that the Navi people hold in high regard. But technically, like the way the real world or the world of this story operates, you don't have to, and those are just niceties. So, I like those elements of it. I think it just needed, like you said, he needs to commit to either doing his own thing or being just like Quayarch, where he has the same memories and everything, because they have him. He has enough memories to know that he hates Jake, but not to the extent that the Quayarch does when he dies.
Right.
So, he hasn't been killed by Jake, this Quayarch, the one in this movie.
He hasn't been fully betrayed like that other Quayarch was to like push him to that rage.
Right.
Because that Quayarch was ruthless, like
Yeah.
just kicking the door open and walking out into the gaseous chamber in order to shoot at people just because he's like, they can't get away. I don't care if I'm putting my own self at risk.
Right.
Jumping into the suit to like, well, chip's down. This is all I got. I'm probably going to die out here, but I'm going to take him down with me. Like, it's just that ruthlessness. And like, he embodies some of that ruthlessness for sure. But there wasn't enough of an emotional connection. Like, they made him just a soldier that had that ruthlessness. And so all he should have been was someone to say, hey, back up. We're going to be doing our thing on the planet. And if you resist us, then we're going to come down and we're going to wipe all of you out. Like, that's what I thought he should have been, is more of a shield than a sword. And then when they needed him to be, then he goes out and, does his business. Basically, they unleash him and say, okay, go ham.
Yeah.
Because he would have hated the Na'vi, because he did that.
Mm-hmm.
Hated them since the beginning of the first film.
Yeah.
But it wasn't so much as to where he was insubordinate, essentially. He would just kind of take the reins whenever the military was in play.
Yeah.
So anytime people went out with guns, he's like, this is my territory. We're going to wipe everything out that stands in front of us.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm just the strong arm of this, corporation or whatever it was that was out.
Yeah.
So this one, it seemed like it wasn't fleshed out enough as to what his motivations were and why exactly it was such a conflict with Jake. Because they leave him off too much. Like, he should have been a dog on a leash. Mm-hmm. His conflict should have been with whomever was trying to control him.
Yeah.
Because it's an interesting concept if you take, essentially you're taking a copy without the soul. And so inevitably that consciousness is going to be searching for something that doesn't exist. And so there's going to be a lot of conflict within that individual.
Yeah.
So it'd have been more interesting if he's trying to figure out what he is.
Yeah.
And then that lends to, like, I don't want this leash anymore. I need to go figure something out. Like, it's almost like finding yourself, or maybe delving into darkness, just because you have no soul. Like, that's what I was expecting from this film.
Yeah.
But instead, it's like, we're more focused on Jake and the kids and their submersion in this other world. There you go. There's your last one.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been good. That's going into your HolmFront fixes, which would have been a lot better. But at the same time, there are some hints to that. Like, for example, he does feel like he's a much more level-headed Quayarch than from the last movie.
Yeah.
Because in this one, he's not quite, like, he's still ruthless, but it's not quite the same. Like, he doesn't put himself in unnecessary danger as much. He doesn't, and he has like this idea you're saying, like, where he's like, he should have like more questioning of his own soul. I feel like there are like these very sparse hints of it throughout the movie. Nothing to really like cling to and like be like, oh, that's interesting, I'm gonna think about that. But it is there, and it does mirror Kiri as a character, which I think is interesting because she's in a similar boat. Like, she's also a clone of Sigourney Weaver's character.
Well,
Grace,
she's the daughter of a clone. She's the daughter of the Avatar, Sigourney's Avatar.
Yeah, how did that work again? Because I've seen this movie twice, and every time it doesn't make sense. So they don't explain it, and that's why I don't understand.
So they briefly explain it, and then she's on the tube where Sigourney Weaver's Avatar's in the tube. So remember at the end of the last film, or somewhere like 3/4 of the way in, Sigourney Weaver's character gets shot, and they try and transfer her body into the Avatar, and it doesn't work.
Right.
But they keep the body.
Right.
So I guess what they're saying is somewhere in there while she was an Avatar, she got pregnant and had Kiri. So Kiri is actually the daughter of that, but they don't know who the dad is. So and then they kind of allude to something when she dreams. She like connects to the tree. She dreams and sees Sigourney Weaver, and she's like, "Who's my father?" And then she has the seizure or whatever. My guess is they're gonna pull some kind of like Anakin Skywalker thing, where there was no father. She's like born by the midichlorians. It's Awa or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That's my guess. I don't know. He seems to be.
That's
really...
why you were making all those jokes throughout the movie about her being like a chosen one or whatever.
Yes. Because she has this like connection with Awa, and she has this some kind of spiritual awakening throughout the film, and it's very, I don't know, mystical almost.
I find it incredibly hard to believe that Sigourney Weaver's character, or Grace, would have gotten pregnant while in her Avatar body and then had this baby somewhere in the span. I guess it would have to be before. It all has to be before the events of Avatar, in which case there's a baby here. Where's this baby? Is someone taking care of the baby? Also, she's not the oldest, though. I think her brothers are older, are they not?
They're not. Those are Jake's kids.
Jake's kids, yeah.
Yeah, Kiri's not Jake's kid.
I know, but she's older than them, or I mean, she's younger than them.
Oh,
is she
you're
not?
saying Jake?
The timeline's
the
off. It would have to be after the events of that movie because Jake doesn't have a kid until after the end of the first.
So we
movie.
just watched this movie, and that's how unclear it is. What may have also been the case is that the Avatar had it in the tube, which also is tough to square. So once they preserve the body, it becomes pregnant somehow. But they were theorizing that there was the scientist guy.
Yeah.
That got
Norm.
Grace knocked up. Yeah, Norm.
Which seems incredibly unlikely.
Whatever the case, it was an odd thing, and I was like, okay, so this is just taking some creative liberty based on, the lack of substance from the first one to create this possibility,
right?
In order to make it kind of vague and ambiguous to lend to theories of this world.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll just headcanon my own answer, which is to say that perhaps what happened was Grace's avatar body develops a baby in response to the fact that Grace is developing a baby. It picks up on that somehow.
You think Grace was pregnant in the first?
I'm just saying it's possible because then it's not just Norm. There's a broader range of people. So maybe she got busy with somebody, and I mean, she can't just have a baby out of nothing.
Yes, she can. Awa is part of this world. I'm telling you.
Right, whatever.
Immaculate conception.
It's my headcanon. You come up with your own headcanon that's satisfying for you because you're not explaining it. So
I don't
whatever.
know how to. He wanted it ambiguous in order to create this like spiritual arc.
Yeah. I mean, whatever the case may be, I like Kiri as a character.
Yeah.
I like that she's in the movie.
She actually felt like she had some of that. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I am.
Right.
What do I do with that? Which would have been more interesting with Quayarch.
Yeah. If the two were following that in parallel.
Right.
Maybe they will in the next movie.
Probably not. He's just going to be bad guy again.
Yeah, probably. But it is cool because, like, you see her, like, I really, like, emotionally connect with her as a character because she's, like, just removed from, like, everything going on around her. Like, she's removed. She's not connected to the sky people, certainly not. She's not really connected to her tribe because she knows she has, like, uncertain origins. It's not really, like, Jake and Neytiri aren't really her parents. They're just, like, adopted parents. And then she's not really connecting with the water people, but she is connecting with the water. Like, when they're, like, kind of swimming around, you know, everyone's, like, having trouble, like, holding their breath long enough, so they keep swimming up and get air. And then you see her, Kiri, and she's just underwater, like, swimming, having a great time, interacting with, like, jellyfish and stuff, and these, like, little colorful fish. And, you know, she's like a real fish out of water. And
in the water, really. Brought her home somehow.
Yeah. So she, but, you know, I connected with that because I'm like, all right, so here's a character who is like there's this nice scene where, you know, she has this seizure or whatever because she was connecting with like the Awa plant underwater, and she's like, and then like that's very traumatizing for her. She's like a really sensitive kid is the thing, right? And she feels like she doesn't belong to anyone. So like that already is like a really heavy burden on her. So then there's this moment where like who's it? Tuo or Talk, or I don't remember, the little kid. Took, yeah. Mm-hmm. Took comes in and is like, oh, like, you know, there's something going on outside. And she's like, what? And Kiri's like, you know, this like moody sensation. And then when she steps out, she kind of like responds. She's like, oh, this is like fun and excitement. And I was like, well, that's such a great depiction of this character because it's like this teenager with even more fluctuating hormones than the average. So it's like everything is just played well such that it makes sense. I'm like, yeah, okay, this is her trying to like adjust. And it's just, she has so many emotional and like spiritually heavy things that she carries with her. She can't balance it all the time. She's trying to do that, but she has no guidance because nobody knows this. She tells Jake, like, okay, I feel like I can feel the heartbeat of Awa. And he's like, okay, well, I don't know what to do with that. Nobody knows what to do with that. So she's just, you know,
you're
off
a weird
on her own.
Child. We don't want you anymore.
Exactly. So they're setting her up.
To the witch, burn her.
Exactly. They're setting her up to be like a witch shaman type person, which I think is cool. But it's also like just interesting to see that journey develop and how I want to see how she comes into her own and recognizes what value she does bring and how to communicate that to others and how they're going to receive that. message because she's going to be unusual. And that's going to ruffle some feathers. Just kind of like what Jake was in the first film. Like, he comes in as this like war leader, and like when he's just a warrior, that works for them because they're like, well, we're warriors, so we get it. But then when he wants to be leader, that's crossing a line. And so there's this, kind of this tension of him getting to that point. So anyways, all that to say, yeah, there's some stuff about the character that don't work, like her origins, and I really, really don't like that she's played by Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
Because her voice is just...
It's too mature for the body they put. She's supposed to be this teenager. And I don't know if they're trying to do something digitally with it or if Sigourney's trying to mess with her voice to sound younger, but it just sounds weird.
It doesn't sound right at all.
It's super uncanny.
You should have just gotten a teenager to play her.
Very off-putting. Yeah, just give her facial features, I guess, if you have to. But
yeah,
just
yeah, I don't know why that was so hard to do. Very strange.
But
yeah,
for what it is worth, like I do like what you're saying about the mirroring effect. I wish they had committed to that even further. Like I think that would have been a lot more compelling overall. Because they did have that, but like I said, it seemed like everything, it was trying to bite off way more than it could chew. It was trying to handle too many different characters. And so she got pushed to the wayside too much, especially for this Loa character. And he's not bad, but I was like, he's not quite as compelling as Sigourney Weaver's character.
Yeah, he's not.
Why wouldn't he be the background character? And it just seemed like they were either on an equal playing field or just a slightly different one, rather than one having priority over the other. Yeah. And therefore, the mirroring effect didn't work as well as it should have. Because if you had that happening to both of them, kind of in separate ways, to where they're essentially choosing different life paths, right? One's going down darker, maybe, and maybe that could even be that not Grace. What's Sigourney Weaver's character's name? Kiri. If Kiri's like choosing a more darker path or something.
Yeah.
And then Quayarch is the one that's kind of leaning light. He's like, why do I have all this investment? I don't care. This isn't me. I've already established this isn't me. So like, why wouldn't I just try and fix the mistakes of like, why don't I can choose to be a good person? Like an Iron Giant thing. Like I choose to be Superman. Like it's like I can choose the right path. And therefore maybe he starts to rebel against his own faction. Because then you add a little bit more of that nuance in there. I know I'm doing more HolmFront fixes, but what you're saying here is interesting. Like that mirroring effect would have been a lot more interesting if they had just leaned into that all the way.
Yeah, it's like all the characters take a reflection of themselves.
That was also a reach. Gosh,
well, when you look at water, how there's a reflection. You know what I'm saying?
I caught that. Yeah, thank you for explaining. Nothing makes a joke better than explaining it, I will say. Yeah, just really harp it in there. Make sure that they understand.
Okay.
Like, no. If you look at water, sometimes you can see yourself, is what I'm...
Exactly.
So it's like a water joke because the movie's about water. Do you get it? Do you get it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, like that would have been interesting, especially because there's that thing later at the end of the movie where one of Jake's kids dies in the conflict with Quayarch in the big battle, and
one of the best parts of the movie.
Yeah, he commits to something,
stakes.
And there's some real, there's now some real drama, an event has happened that's going to shift characters. So the Neytiri's reaction is what's most interesting about this, and she goes off on a rampage and is just like executing the remaining humans. And she confronts Quayarch, and Quayarch has Kiri at knife point, and he's trying to get Jake to disarm himself and everything. And then she comes up there and she grabs Spider, who's Quayarch's kid, Miles.
Another weird timeline.
Yeah, and she like threatens to kill him in return. And I really like that quite a bit, but the interesting twist here is that Quayarch does relent to this.
Sure.
And so he makes like the light side choice here, going back to that Star Wars reference, and is like, okay, like I don't want him to die, even though it's not his kid. But see, I think it works either way, whether or not he wants to be like Quayarch or doesn't want to be like the old Quayarch. It doesn't matter because he still has those memories. So if there was any memory of Quayarch's that he would want protected and safe, it would be his son. So it makes sense that instinctively there are some things he just cannot fight against. And so then he would be like, okay, well, I can't let that happen.
That's also part of the theme. Jake in the beginning is talking about how a father needs to protect his family or whatever.
Yeah.
So Toy Arch is probably allowing himself to consider, like, well, this might not be quote unquote my child.
Yeah.
But I bear the resemblance and I bear, these elements of the one who is his father.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, maybe on some level, it is my responsibility. So if this kid dies, like, is that going to affect me in some way that I'm not aware of or whatever?
Yeah.
Or do I even have some kind of connection to this kid?
He's not that deep of a character, so I don't think he would think through any of that.
But just that moment allowed for possibility that was interesting.
Yeah, or like I said, just instinct. Just like he suddenly protects him and then has to think about it later. Like, why did I do that?
Yeah.
Like I technically didn't have to or anything, but he was just
Or maybe I shouldn't have.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that would have been an interesting moment had that mirroring effect been going on, and that's almost like his turning point. I can either be really soulless, because this kind of will just eliminate any semblance of humanity essentially from me, or I can choose the lights out of the dark or whatever.
Yeah.
That would have been, I don't know. It would have been a good payoff to something they'd been building up to.
Yeah.
It kind of had elements of that, but it wasn't something, like I said, they leaned into fully.
Yeah, because then he could have allied with Jake in the next movie.
That would have been great.
That would have been really fascinating.
Yeah.
Because Neytiri would hate that.
Right. Especially if Jake's forced to go ask for his help or vice versa or something like that.
Right. And Jake would be like, well, I have to put aside my feelings about it because it's technically a different person. He's not the one directly responsible. Like, yes, he set up the conflict, but like it's not like he pulled the trigger, right? So he would make up those reasons and then just try to grin and bear it. And Neytiri wouldn't accept that, so then there would be the conflict
of the
two.
marriage.
Yeah. See, this is the thing. Anytime we're going to get into anything of relevance to talk about, it's just like, well, here's how there could have been more intrigue and tension and conflict.
But
in
also
the story.
how there wasn't.
But also how there wasn't.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing about a lot of his films, specifically within the Avatar universe, which is what I'm interested to see what he does with this next one, because he has what I thought they should have done in this film.
Yeah.
And that's that conflict between, the native tribes, essentially. Because then you get to see the different cultures through conflict rather than through peace.
Right.
Because he was trying, especially the first one really went hard on it. This one, I don't know if I'd say it was less. I don't think it's more necessarily, but he still goes on that, like, this culture's like perfect basically, and they like don't do wrong, and you're just like, dude, there's a little bit more to this. Like, stop trying to make me see, because he goes on this poaching arc that I was it was so over the top, because this guy's just like, no one is this evil, man. Because he goes in this whole narrative about how these whales are like super sentient, and they conduct songs and they write music and they have families and they're like the spiritual brothers and sisters of the tribe. They feel
10 times more than the average human.
Yep, they're like basically better than anything else.
Yeah,
they're angels. It's what I call those angels. So then there's these humans that poach them because they have. It's essentially a commentary on like a Moby Dick type thing, that where back then they would hunt down the whales for the blubber in order to get oil for the society. So they hunt down this brain liquid that they can get that just stops aging in people. So it's this really narcissistic, stupid thing that they're going after. And it's a commentary on like the depravity of man, like what they're willing to sacrifice in order for their own gain.
Yeah.
As little as it might be. So, but they even take it further in the fact that this guy's not interested in the stuff at all. He's just interested in the money he can get from selling it.
Yeah.
So he's just going to be as brutal and ridiculously evil as possible to do this thing. In order to sell this, he's like, it's $80 million for this stuff. Like, and it stops aging. Like, people will line up for this. I don't care what I have to do. I will butcher whole families of these angels in order to get this. And it's like, dude, I got it, man. Like, okay, we don't a little bit of like, because he tries to add that one character in who's like conflicted.
Yeah,
he's just like, well, they're funding your research, so you just gotta gotta squint up and bear it when we do this awful stuff, just so you could get your research done or whatever. It's like, really? He's fine with this. He has this connection with these animals, or is like they're basically pure and good. Yeah. They're basically holy, but I gotta be okay with them killing some so I can get this research done. It's just one of those things you gotta grin and bear.
Yeah.
Like, what? Why are you here? It's like being on a mission where they killed children or something. It's like, well,
Yeah.
oh well, it happens.
Well, it's what we have to do. Yeah.
It's part of the world.
I mean, they're just like, relentlessly malicious. You have this whole scene where they just hunt down a whale, and it's like the process of like they like
And
shoot
they
like a
don't fight
harpoon.
back because that's like their culture. The whales will
Right, the
never
whales.
kill or fight. But they're like, well, we're getting
We're
attacked, so I
above
guess
it.
we'll just die.
There's never a justification for violence, is how the whales feel. And so they're just like, oh, and then they're like crying and stuff, and then like the little baby goes up and is like, ooh, sad. It was just horrifically emotionally manipulative. He was just like, look at how just awful these humans are.
He killed the mother, and then the calf died because it didn't have its mom. Isn't that awful? This is what they do. This is what they do, you guys. Like, okay.
And it was so weird. I remember just being like, why are we talking about poaching in 2022?
Because it's relevant, probably.
Yeah, sure.
all
over all the time, just protests for the poaching. This unregulated poaching that's just going crazy throughout the world right now. It's just insane. Really.
I wouldn't even say that it's a cultural commentary or even a political one. It's more of just like how it's just like John Wick.
Yeah.
It's just we just put a puppy in there because that's going to get the emotional reaction in order to propel this story forward. But that one at least is just kind of wearing its colors on its sleeves. It's like, don't really care with this. We just want Keanu Reeves to kill as many people as possible, and we need a justification for that. Right. Killing a puppy seems like a pretty good one.
Yeah.
It's not a kid, so it's not horrifically dark.
Right.
It's a puppy, so everyone's gonna emotionally react to that, and everyone's gonna be like, yeah, kill them all. This one, it's kind of just doing the same thing, but he just drags it out in order for you to really be like, no, this is really, really horrible. It's like, I understand. It's like, but no. But even the children die from it. It's like, that guy understood this is evil. He's like, but no, it's really evil, and it affects everyone. Like, oh, okay. He's like, and it starts a war.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, and there's other stuff too. Like you have Quayarch has, he's going to different islands to try to find Jake, and so he's like interrogating them. He's got them like gunpoint and he's just like, where's Jake and whatever. And then he when he doesn't get the answer he wants because they don't know, he's just like, all right, we'll burn down their whole village, and so they just flame it down and then take off. And with him he has this spider character, which I hate. I hate this character. I hate that I have to bring him up.
You have to gear yourself up to be able to say it. Just like, do I actually hate? Yeah, no, I hate him. I hate this character. This character's bad.
It's like literally the worst character out of anything ever. So he has him there, and he's like translating for Quayarch. And, you would think Quayarch would put two and two together that like, well, Spider doesn't like it when I just kill people, indiscriminately, or if I burn down a whole village. So maybe I won't do that.
Okay.
Maybe I'll just like, I threatened them. They didn't give me the answer. He's probably not here. Okay, fine. I move on. Because I mean, once he burns it down, he's already decided that it's done. That he's not going to get the information he wants. So okay, so just leave. Just leave, and then Spider will see you as being merciful. Have one of your troops kind of carry it far and be like, no, that's enough. And then, you're able to reveal that dynamic personality yourself in front of him, and then you start creating more trust with
Well, he
Spider.
already does that earlier.
Right.
It's when they're torturing Spider. They have like the thing spinning, and they're like, "We're gonna see the
it's
brain
my favorite
patterns."
Scene. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so stupid looking. It looks terrible. But yeah, I know. I don't know. He comes and shuts it off, and then he's like, "Let me just talk to him." So they go in the room, and then they have that conversation. I was like, "Okay, so this seems like that some of it is just the brutal honesty that comes with being a soldier, but some of it also seems like it might border on emotionally manipulative because he knows, what he is."
Right.
Or what Spider might consider him to be. Because Spider knows. So he's like, yeah, I'm like a copy of your dad, but I'm not your dad.
Yeah.
But on some level, Spider's gonna be emotionally vulnerable to that.
Right.
And he knows that. And so he's like, well, why don't I just go in and see if I can get it out this way?
Right.
But you're right. And later on, he's just like, well, now I'm just evil. So I can't do something like that in order to get the information. I just have to show these guys that I'm going to kill people sometimes.
Yeah, it's like instead of emotionally manipulating Spider and getting him on his side so that Spider's conflicted, That would have been a lot better,
right?
If he had done that.
And then in doing so, he himself becomes conflicted, going back to the mirroring thing.
Right.
So then he starts to lean to the light side again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's such a black and white, like, of who's good and who's bad in the movie, that saying, a light and a dark side, it basically exists in the film as the screenwriter understands it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah, but I mean, the spider character really is detestable in every way.
Just like let's sit here for a minute.
Let's have a
Spider
moment and just kind of
sucks so bad.
So, because we didn't even give the context of the character. So he is Quayarch's son. Somehow, he just shows up, and his real name is Miles, but he goes by Spider.
Sounds reasonable to me.
And he wears a loincloth, and then he goes.
He's basically the
around.
Tarzan that just kind of hangs around.
Yeah, we're ripping off Tarzan now, and he just hangs around with Jake Sully's kids or whatever, and they've kind of adopted him and stuff. And I'm just like, what the hell? Like, what is this? Like,
why are you here?
Why are you here? Why are you doing this?
It's strictly for the emotional connection with Quayarch, which would have been interesting had they developed it and fleshed it out a little bit.
Right.
But
or if Neytiri had butchered him.
Oh, sure.
Because think of it this way. Like, if he let's say Quayarch lets go of Kiri at the end, and then in a fit of rage, because Neytiri's so devastated over the fact that her son just died, she just takes out Spider. A kid who
I love that this is just your fantasy. You're just trying to justify this so you could kill Spider somehow.
Like, get him out of the movie.
Like, wouldn't it be awesome if that happened? I mean, I'm saying for the story's sake, not for me.
Well, yeah, I will justify it through the story. I mean, I had another idea too. I thought in the early parts where they introduced him, and there's the montage where he's following them and they're running across the it's like the gap.
Neytiri just shoves him off. No, go ahead.
Well, I thought he would slip and fall and then die, because I've always thought that should happen to a character in these movies because it's so high up.
They would just be like, a consequence,
into the clouds. And I thought, well, what better character to fit this than
the one
Spider?
who doesn't fit in. He never was going to.
I mean, it's because in every scene he's just like, I'm primal.
I'm a feral child.
Yeah, and just and destroying things and banging stuff against the wall and
can we safely accuse him of blueface? I don't know if that applies, but he paints himself blue.
Does he paint himself blue?
Yeah, he's got all the blue stripes all over him. He doesn't fully commit.
Yeah, because it wasn't committed. But I think
you probably make
onto something there.
I don't think they were catching on, but they're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You're not one of us. Anyway, Spider sucks. Death to Spider.
Why is his name Spider? What is that?
Why not? They probably have spiders on that planet, maybe.
It's stupid. His name was Miles.
It would actually be kind of cool if they had spiders on that planet. I'd be cool with that.
I mean, they should. But it's just the whole concept of this character is just, and they don't do anything meaningful with it. I think that's the problem. With Kiri, her origins are just they're watery at best. It doesn't make any sense. See, I was able to do that one with a straight face, and I was like, he's gonna react. Okay, so they do that, but then it's they do some stuff with her character, and so I'm like, all right, we're getting somewhere. Whereas with Spider, they don't do anything. He accomplishes nothing.
They came close enough to get a whiff of what might have existed in this.
Yeah.
And it was either they didn't realize it was there, or they did and didn't know what to do with it appropriately. So you just get the little bit. And then it's we think other things are more important. No, this is the important thing. Otherwise, you just have a character that doesn't fit that everyone can't stand.
Right, because he's just hissing and snarling at everyone, and he's biting people, and he's just this rabid dog.
How do you spend your spare time?
He's just a rabid dog who has no point and purpose in the story. He's very annoying. He's the one who gets the son killed too.
Kind of, yes.
Because they have to go out and save him.
Yep.
Just they just went out of their way let's make the most hated, most despised character ever put to film. Here he is. Well, I mean, he's right up there with what's her name from Temple of Doom?
The blonde?
Yeah. She's insufferable. She's awful. Just like that.
It's like, what's the
Super
dumbest
annoying.
thing I could do in this moment? I want to do that one. That's okay. So let's do a real quick HolmFront fixes.
Yeah.
And this isn't completely fleshing this out. I just thought this would have been cooler. Is if they'd done more of like a Winter Soldier type thing.
Okay.
Where instead of giving Quayarch like a full on consciousness, they kind of brainwash him. They put enough in there so he has like the instinct and the soldier nature, but he doesn't have a whole lot of agency or self.
Yeah.
And then they set him loose and they're like, you're going to go kill Jake and you're going to make a spectacle out of it because removing him removes resistance. Because we're going to try and come back in for more, whatever the hell, unobtainium or whatever.
That's good. Yeah.
So that way, because then he would have to be a little bit more politically inclined. He would have to be able to break Jake down as the leader and bring about his demise, his fall.
Yeah.
In order to start disintegrating these cultures so that they do not rise up against the Sky People.
Yeah.
So what I would do is that he would basically do the Winter Soldier thing where he would start to like come to some kind of sense or start having these flashback memories that don't belong to him, almost like a Blade Runner, because he's got this consciousness of someone else, but he doesn't know what to do with them. So some sort of form of self would try to be inserting itself as he's going about his mission, and then they would have to keep like brainwashing it out of him until eventually he snaps.
Yeah.
And then something happens. So then you have a more conflicted character at the end, rather than someone who had a vague ambition at best throughout the film.
Yeah.
Because you're really sure like what his motivation was. He just wanted to kill Jake.
Yeah.
It wasn't emotional, but it wasn't like dictated by the military people. It's just kind of like something like you just knew that he was doing that in the first movie, so we're just gonna have him do it in the second movie again.
Yeah.
This one, it would be more interesting because it's like that would lean further into discovering what self means, especially with this like clone arc that they're dealing with, and it helped flesh it out a little bit from the other side of the narrative. And then I would focus obviously more on Kiri now to try and give her more of like discovering what she is and what she can be. Does she have a soul because of the nature of her being? Like these are all questions that she would be asking herself.
Yeah.
But that's how I would mirror it. Because then it would be a lot more of like espionage. Because then you could flesh out the cultures without necessarily this random antagonist that might show up every once in a while and might not. Because he's constantly trying to immerse himself also.
Yes.
He's clearly very capable of doing so. But he would just be an empty vessel in order to infiltrate.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool.
That's how I would do it. Anyway.
Yeah, that'd be rad. I mean, I think your idea is far more like applicable to what's reasonable and what Cameron would have gone on with.
Maybe.
Because I went all the way back to like just the like when they touched down the Sky People, I would have put the person in charge as this like older gray-haired gentleman, sort of like Quayarch in the sense where he's like, okay, he's getting up there in years, and he's a sympathetic character.
Okay.
But he's just as ruthless, if not more so. Like he's just like, go poach them all, and everybody's like, well, that seems weird when you see him talk because it seems like he's more reasonable and level-headed and strategic, and he is. But here's the thing: he has a sick daughter.
Okay.
And so he uses some of the substance to keep her alive.
Oh, I see. So until they find a cure, so you're giving him an emotional arc in order to give him motivation.
Right.
That makes him ruthless.
Right.
Okay.
So that way it's not just like, here, look at these evil poachers. And you humanize the human characters a little bit. But it's like you could still do it where you can still have him as the villain because it's like it's not going to justify anything he does. Because the things, and like when you start like his daughter and like his family, is with him, like his wife and his daughter or whatever, they're there. And maybe his wife is a scientist and she's trying to find a cure and she feels like she can, but also like it's difficult and she's got some rare disease or whatever. And so like as they're going throughout the process of, the hiring Quayarch and destroying things or whatever, they're doing it. But it seems like maybe there's a confrontation with Jake or something. And it seemed Jake's like, well, this guy is kind of reasonable. I could he's like, okay, well, you hold this line, don't cross it or something like that.
Sure.
And he's like, yeah, we can do that for now, But then like as time goes on, and once they discover the stuff that can keep his daughter alive, well, then it's like, well, all treaties are down.
Right.
Yeah,
anything that stands in the way is dust.
Exactly. And so then it would play into his theme of like. Because in the movie, they talk about, like, fathers protect their family or their children. Like, that was the theme they said. So I was like, okay, well, like, make it on fair-sided on the other side, that's the same thing happening. It's just we can still see him as a villain because he just will stop at nothing, and he has way more power. So he's the brutal, version of it. So he would give the orders like, yeah, burn down the village, because at some point, and like you would slowly pace it out, like the extremities of what he would do until he's just like, yeah, if you have to kill them all, you have to kill them all. It's the end of the day. It's like he starts off being sympathetic and he knows how to play both sides to just get results. But that's the thing. Getting results is what he's best at.
Sure.
So when it comes to something, when he has that personal motivation compelling him, now it's like all,
That'd be interesting. There's a villain in Star Wars called Thrawn in one of the book series. Book series, not the Disney series, because they suck. He's one of those, his like philosophy is to know thy enemy. So it'd be interesting if you had this character and he's basically watching footage of the prior film or the conflicts of the prior film.
Yeah.
And how the Na'vi are people that are shown that they will not back down. Like this is their environment. So anything that comes against their environment must be stopped. And so he knows that, well, to get to this thing, I'm going to have to get to their environment, and they're not going to like that.
Yeah.
So he might try and find a way or two and then be like, well, they've been shown in the past to be resilient to that. So we're just going to have to crush them. That's the only way.
Yeah.
So he might do like the espionage thing first.
Yeah.
To try and break it down. But then he would be like, looks like we're just going to have to burn it all.
Yeah.
And that way, because like at the beginning, it's so ham-fisted even in the beginning in this.
Yeah.
Is when the sky people arrive, they just burn everything as soon as they land.
Yeah.
It's like, what was the purpose of this? It's just because
they're
destructive.
Set up their base, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because they wanted some flat, boring territory hub for their base. I guess that makes sense. You don't want it built up in a jungle. But even so, like, they have this general lady in it, and she's just, this one note, just like, snarling her teeth in a couple of scenes, and then you never see her again.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what's the point of this character? Like, you did nothing with her. Like, why even have her there? It's just like humans bad. It's like, yeah, we know.
Me military,
like,
me mean.
Yeah, exactly. We get it.
That's
like
it.
Instead, oh no, let's go over and hang out with some, dweeby teenagers for a while. And it's just like, why? Like, and they go get into some, literal teenage drama. Like, bro, like, that's not cool. Oh, you're a freak. And I'm just, what is this? What is this crap? Like,
it was interesting, okay?
Such an enlightened species this is,
It's the exact same.
Yeah.
Well, do you have anything else you want to add to Avatar: The Way of Water?
I mean, it's like, movie was a fish in a barrel.
Thank you for watching. So you made it to the end of the video. If you liked it, please consider subscribing and leave us a comment. We'd love to hear what you thought.